to episode 26 of the Sheep and Cheerful Podcast, a podcast all about my attempts to live as creative a life as possible in as cheerful a way as possible. My name is Nicky. I am the hostess with the mostess, I haven't said that for a long time, and CEO of all things Sheep and Cheerful. I live in the south coast of the United Kingdom with my husband and the two children who come and go, adult children now, both studying, and our two dogs who you will have already seen, just for those of you who like to see, Honey and Henry. They're English Springer Spaniels. They are 11 years old. Can't believe that they're 11. My babies. Anyway, Honey and Henry, they are. And they are in the room with me, as you will probably most likely know if you have watched this podcast before. If you haven't watched it, if you're a new viewer, then warmest welcome to you. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoy what you see. And basically, I realised I've been watching a few other podcasts this week, and I realised I've got to encourage you all to hit the like button down there and to subscribe if you want to see more of the same kind of crazy that you're going to see today. There's a lot of mixed crafting at the moment. Usually, I haven't been going that long that there is enough to be usual, but the intention was for it to be mainly fibre-based in terms of knitting, with a bit of crochet, maybe a bit of spinning thrown in. But of late, I have been running the creative gamut with so many different aspects of creativity, including sewing and a bit of needle felting and some normal felting and all sorts of different things. So, and I just like to share, basically. Love to share with everyone because I like to encourage people to have a go. I was thinking I might even have a new make-along in the new year for having a go at something new. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself as usual. I should say that if you want to follow me on Instagram, that's where that's the only social media really that I use. And I am Clara Peggotty on Instagram. And now I have to offer an apology. I think ever since I have been doing this podcast, I have said I am Clara Peggotty on Instagram and Ravelry. And you can find me there, bish, bash, bosh. Turns out I'm not Clara Peggotty on Ravelry. Oh dear. I don't know who I am anywhere. I am NickyWinterton on Ravelry. So if you're looking for me on Ravelry, then search NickyWinterton, all one word, and you will find me there. If you want the podcast group, then search for Sheep and Cheerful Podcast in the group setting, and we would love for you to join in. There's an introduction thread, there's various chatter threads. It's a lovely group of people. It's been a bit quieter possibly the last couple of weeks. Obviously things are getting busy and life outside, in the wide world, the BWW, which is currently shut in most places, and people are getting busy for Christmas and all that sort of biz. But do jump in the chatter thread. There's going to be a new thread up next week, which I will explain later. But do jump in and say hello because everyone is so lovely and friendly. We have the make-alongs going on. We have the Christmas bauble make-along. I think it's just Christmas bauble along. We have a chatter thread and a finished objects thread, and that will be running until the 12th of December when I will pick out a winner and deliver a prize to that person. Deliver, mail, post. Okay, I thought Henry was asleep, but he's not. And we also have the Scrappy Blanket Adventures, which is going to be a year long. Well, it was going to be to the end of the year, but I think I'm just going to keep it running. I believe Cherie over at Ollie and Bella is going to do the same. We're doing this as a joint make-along. So if you're knitting any form of scrappy blanket or crocheting a scrappy blanket, or I suppose even patchworking a scrappy blanket, jump in the chatter thread. There is a finished objects thread, but it's more about the chatter, sharing the patterns, looking at yarns and so on, and that's really lovely. And while we're on that, I have pulled 2 names for some prizes. So this has been going on a while. Cherie and I keep saying we're going to pull a random prize from the chatter thread. So I'm going to get onto her to do that from her group. We both have groups, and I think people are double dipping, which is fine. But we have 384 posts in the chatter thread. And I used random number generator on good old Siri on my phone. And he, because he's a he, gave me 2 random numbers, number 103 and number 348. And I went down and saw whose posts they were. And the first one, number 103, was Sandy, who is Sandvan, who is in Ontario, Canada. So congratulations, Sandy, you've won yourself a prize. And you were making the, what was it? Did I make a note of it? I think it was the habitation throw. I think that's right. Anyway, I will show the prizes in just a sec. So Sandy, congratulations. And number 348 was Dana, who is Dana Ray Makes on Ravelry and I think on Instagram. Dana has been making an amazing hexagonal puff blanket, I think it's called, throughout October and posting her progress. I think she's double dipping with lovely Marta's crochet challenge, who is Martushka Makes, and Dana has been dipping in both of those. And she is also in Canada. Dana is in Winnipeg, Canada. So Dana, you have also won a prize. And the prizes you have won, one of you, and I haven't picked out any particular difference, one of you will be getting some Katrinkle's stitch markers. Oh, there you go. It's getting the light, isn't it? The little wooden sweaters and sheep and a little house there, along with a skein of self-striping sock yarn from the Knitting Goddess. So they're from me. So congratulations, whichever of you gets the self-striping yarn and the stitch markers. And then the other prize was donated by Debbie of Down Sheepy Lane. And this is a mixture of her minis. I don't think this has a name. I think this is just a random set of minis, which are really, really pretty. Debbie does sort of oranges and browns and autumnal colours so well. And there's a lovely sort of bright red there too. Oh, my hands. It's better, isn't it? So they are from Debbie Down Sheepy Lane. And together with that, I have put a project bag, which was a special edition one that Gemma, the little grey girl, made for a Socks on the Beach retreat that I organised a couple of years ago. And I kept back one of these bags. It's a really good size as well. That's Gemma's tag. She's on Instagram and she has her own shop, as does Debbie. I think Gem is littlegraygirl.co.uk and I think Debbie is downsheepylane.co.uk, I think. So those 2 prizes. So congratulations again to Dana and Sandy. If you'd like to get in touch with me either via Instagram or via the email address I put below, send me your address details and I will get these out in the mail to you. Can't guarantee when you'll get them because the mail seems to be exceedingly slow at the moment. Well, it's certainly slow coming to me. I've got so many things I'm waiting for. And the last 3 days we've had no postal deliveries at all, which is really unusual. And I've got people have sent prizes for the podcast and I still haven't received those. And I know they've been sent. So, plus, can I just say, I've got an advent out there, Dandelion and Dogwood Advent, that was sent nearly 2 weeks ago. And that still hasn't arrived, or maybe 10 days ago. And that hasn't arrived yet. So, you know, it's all a bit rubbish really. So come on, Mr. Postman, I'm knitting you a Christmas hat, for goodness sake. Well, not a Christmas hat, I'm knitting you a hat. It's a Christmas gift. So the least you can do is bring all my parcels. The podcast needs them. We've got prizes coming. Anyway, enough of that little rant. They were the prizes from the podcast group on Ravelry. Right. I also will mention what I'm wearing today. I am wearing my Azimuth sweater. So this is one of my favourite sweaters I've ever made, I think. You see all these cables, they're just lovely. It's got this lovely sort of, it's not a boat neck, it's, I meant to move my this side, this deep rib round that you add on afterwards. And then as usual I made, how do I get this on camera? That's it, 3/4 length sleeves. And this is, the pattern is by Greene, who, can't remember her actual business name, but it's Greene. I'll put the details down below. And she's quite a prolific designer. And the yarn is Lavender Lemonade from my lovely friend Deborah at Candy Shop Yarns, who isn't dyeing much at all at the moment. But this was from year before last, and I finished it last year. But I love it. The yarn is beautiful, the colour's beautiful, and the pattern is beautiful. It's DK weight as well, and it knits up really quickly. So, right, oh, just adjust myself there now, get myself back. So I moved, and then because I'm so discombobulated looking at this viewfinder thing, that my right is the opposite, it's like in a mirror. Jonah said to me that I could change that so it'd be more like with your phone. So, you know, my right should be, whatevs. Anyway, right, so that is that. Let's move on. So that's what I'm wearing. I also have, let's have a look. I have another giveaway and I have a coupon code, but I will give you that at the end, I think. I think we need to get on with some knitting and some stuff, some project stuff. I have a finished object to show you. Well, a finished, more to the point, pair. Oh, got a big pile of stuff here. Ta-da! Another pair of socks. Look at those. Actually, I'll put that one behind because I need to explain about that one. Boo. So these are the self-striping socks, and Debbie sent me the colourway. She hasn't got this in her shop at the moment. It's from Down Sheepy Lane. She doesn't dye self-striping regularly, very often, but when she does, they're lovely colours, and this was one I fell in love with. And I think this was a colourway based on Peaky Blinders, and it's sort of tans and raspberry and then grey. It's really lovely. It's such a warm set of colours. And then she sent a mini, this was a sock set, so this is her coal colourway, which is a really lovely grey, a tonal grey. So yeah, now this was a 50-gram sock set she sent me, and I was totally oblivious to the idea that actually I might run out of yarn. I've since discovered that I need 50 grams to finish a pair of socks for me. Plus, does that include, I think that might 50 grams plus a 20 gram mini for contrasting heels, toes and cuffs. So in any event, I ran out of yarn. I was doing so well. I was working on these. I thought I've got to get this off. And actually, so let's cover that. I was about here on the second sock, and I've been about there for ages. Those of you who've been watching the podcast will know that I've had these on the go for months, and I started off on mini circulars, and I did the whole of the first sock on mini circulars, and I got down to about here. I clearly wasn't enjoying it. I mean, knitting on the mini circulars was quite natty, quite enjoyed it, but it wasn't something I could pick up. I couldn't knit in front of the telly or anything like that with it. I had to really be much more aware of what I was doing. So I swapped them over to Magic Loop, and then I just whizzed down the foot, the leg and the foot on Magic Loop, which was, you know, so much better. Interesting change of tension on my gauge, I should say, down to there, and the rest of this sock is definitely looser, is definitely a more generous gauge. In fact, I have blocked these, but before I block them, you could definitely see the difference in size across there at that point to that point when I went onto Magic Loop, which was really interesting. I mean, they're a pair of socks. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But it was noticeable, not so much now they've been blocked. And then I did my usual 64 stitches, 2.25 millimetre needles, which I think are a US size 1, aren't they? And then I always do my favourite Fish Lips Kiss heel there. Now, you'll notice that is a slightly different pink. It's not really noticeable, is it? It's not really noticeable. Because I ran out of yarn. I was playing yarn chicken, and I got to there and I just knew, you know, that I wouldn't have enough. So basically I found I found another pink. I didn't have anything that would be accurately go with those. So I popped that one in and I thought it's fine, you know, it's hand knit socks. And then I striped in the grey, the coal grey, the mini that she'd sent. That said, once I finished them, turns out they're a bit small. They're too small for me. What I was thinking, I wonder if it's because it was on the mini circs. I don't know. I knew as I was knitting them, to be honest, because when I do the Fish Lips Kiss heel and I measure it on the, you know, the little fit thing they have you make when you do that pattern, the socks always look really long. I can't really show you a comparison because these sock blockers are quite small anyway. And I could see that this space here was too small for me. It's probably about ½ an inch too short. So, in any event, I had Hannah tried them on and they fitted her. I'm not going to give them to I'm not giving them to Hannah. I'm going to give these to another friend as part of her Christmas present. So, and she won't mind that. That would just be my special touch. It's a design feature that I think I might knit all my socks with a different colour stripe at one end, and that can be the Clara Peggotty design feature. They will be highly sought after. People will be knocking down each other to get a pair of Clara Peggotty design featured socks. I love it. Oh dear, I shouldn't laugh at my own jokes. Nobody else does. And then my Ainsworth and Prim bunny blockers. So yes, all that to say, I finished a really long outstanding pair of socks. Now, before I show you the next FO, while we're talking about socks, I did have another pair, if you'll remember, on the needles. I had one finished sock, which was my Dotty Wool Company sock, which I, again, started at the beginning of October, or somewhere around October. And this was self-striping yarn in navy and red, otherwise known as Dennis the Menace. Or somebody said, where's Wally? But I think it's a bit more Dennis the Menace. And then I put the contrasting gold minis in. Well, I hadn't even cast on sock number 2. I kind of lost my sock mojo. I think I might have mentioned that. And I just wasn't really interested in knitting socks. I think I was a bit socked out. These have got dog hairs on them. Thank you, Henry, for that. So, I look really big on the screen now. Let's go back a little bit. Quite disconcerting looking at yourself here. So I'd done that, but again, finished the Down Sheepy Lane socks. I thought, right, let's get on it, because the reason I wanted to get these done, because I want to cast on a new pair now. I found my knitting mojo again, and I want to cast on one of my Christmas sock yarns, which is up over there. Can you see that old era there? That was the era my mum had when I was growing up, and I loved it, and it's quite broken, and they were going to throw it. I said, no, I must have it, because that is just my childhood memories. And I've got some cones of cotton up there. Oh, this is a bit weird. Some cones of cotton, but down there I've got my self-striping balls of yarn. And I will get, oh, there's a plant, the pilea. I'm moving my plants from the lounge into here because I'm getting ready to put the Christmas stuff up. So behind the pilea there are all the self-striping gobstopper balls. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yes, so cast on sock number 2 and mid-row no less. Look where I've got to. So I've done the leg and I am halfway through the Fish Lips Kiss heel. I started the heel this morning, but I thought I needed to come on podcast while the light was half decent. So this, I think, will be finished this week. I will get the foot done. I'll get the heel done today and get the foot done this week, which is brilliant, because then certainly by the end of the month, I'll be able to cast on some Christmas socks. I have bought quite a lot of Christmas yarn this year, and I've got some beautiful yarn. I normally, as a rule, I try and support English yarn dyers, British yarn dyers and British indie makers. And this year, I don't know, perhaps what with the COVID and everything going on, I just, I threw caution to the wind, and I've ordered some yarn from the States, and I've ordered 3 skeins. I've also got another Christmas self-striping yarn coming from the UK. I think that's it. So I've got 4 beautiful skeins coming, plus the Christmas yarn I already have. So I'm very excited about this. I'm even more frustrated that the postman has done a runner and we just don't have any post at the moment. But talking of UK makers, I should show you, I can't actually put this back in the needle cozy because I'm halfway through the row, but I also bought from the very talented and lovely Rachel, who's So Ray Me, S-E-W, Ray Me. See what she does there? It's clever. Bit of sound music. I bought a little needle cozy, a Christmas needle cozy, which is so cute. I've been meaning to get some needle cozies for a long time, and Rachel had an update with some Christmas ones. Most of them sold out pretty quickly, but this one, it's lovely, and it is got wadding in it as well, so it feels really nice. I've only got 2 others of these. One was a gift from a lovely viewer who sent a Halloween one, and one was from years ago that Danny Little Bobbins made, and again it was sent to me or given to me by a friend. So this is the first one I bought. Oh, actually, look, it's got a lovely red polka dot inside, and that's Rachel's details, and she's sorayme.co.uk, but I think on Instagram, no, on her Etsy shop is sorayme UK, I think. But I suspect if you go to her website, sorayme.co.uk, it will give you a link anyway. But so that's also, and that's in my little homemade, the project bag I made with all those lovely positive Christian messages on it, which is really nice. It makes me smile. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm going to jump back now. I am going to jump back to another finished object, but I'm just going to have a sip of tea first. Okay, you will remember the Baby Regan pumpkin hat that I made. It wasn't a pumpkin, but I modelled it on a pumpkin. I haven't got a pumpkin big enough for this next one. I have posted this on Instagram, so you may well have seen it if you are on Instagram. But I finished the high point hat number 2. And here it is. Ha ha! Look at that. I'm going to model it. It has to be done. I never know whether to wear it. There you are. We'll wear it this side. There you go. How just love this hat. I absolutely love it. It's it's not for me though. I think if I get a chance, I may make myself one. Oh, I just love this. So this will go to, and I believe she doesn't watch the podcast. I'm pretty sure she doesn't. Why would she watch the podcast? She's a 20-year-old girl. Why would she watch a podcast with an old lady talking about knitting? Anyway, this will go to Regan's mum so they can have matching Santa hats. So I'm so thrilled with this. Obviously the pom-pom was a question of, you know, go big or go home. But it is tied on, so she can take it off if she wants to. Or if she really wants a smaller one, she can have a smaller one. But I think she'll like this. Oh, now I'm going to have to do the whole hair thing. Sorry. I'll be editing this and think, oh my goodness, look at the state of that. Right, so let's just tell you the details here because I made some modifications. I will try and put them onto my Ravelry page. This isn't up there at the moment. It is the High Point hat by Purl Soho, which was, I don't know which side, that's it, which is a free pattern on the Purl Soho website. And it is for baby through to adult, but it is in fingering weight yarn. So the baby version I made was fingering weight yarn. This one, I wasn't going to make a hat this big in fingering weight yarn, although that said, it knitted up so quickly. But I looked on some of my other patterns that I had for hats, for cast on numbers and ideas and what have you. And so I went up to, so I've got a bit of fluff on my lip. I do apologise for that. Did I do size 4s? 4mm needles? It's either 4s or 4.5s. I think it was 4s. Was it 4.5s? Because this is Cascade 220, which is a worsted weight yarn. Anyway, I think it's a 4.5. Sorry. I wrote it down actually. If I can find the details, I wrote it on a scrap of paper. If I can find it, I'll put it in the details down below. But I cast on 90 stitches because Jordan's head is like mine and Hannah's and is quite large. It's a 23-inch one. Sorry, that's this neckline. That's the only thing. If I wear a t-shirt under it, it sort of rucks up. And then what I did, I knit to, I remember I have Stephanie Pearl McPhee's book, Knitting Rules, and it tells you about various ways to structure stuff or to size stuff. And I think she said that a rough idea for the brim to the crown of your head is the span of your hand. I think that's what she said. It's something like that. So that's what I did. I think I did 7 inches because I don't have a tape measure here. So I knit straight up, rolled edge there. So just stocking stitch up to here. And then I started doing the decreases. So you can see the decreases there. And I knit it first and I did the same as the baby pattern and I did alternated rows. So I did, you decrease, you divide the number of stitches into 4 and then you decrease in each section once. So at the end, so you knit to the first marker, knit 2 together, knit to the next marker, knit 2 together. And then the next round is plain knitting. Then you decrease again. And so you're getting these lovely sort of swirly lines up. What I did, I did to make the point a bit longer, I did it every second. So I did decrease, knit 2 rows, decrease, knit 2 rows. That didn't give me a big enough point. It kind of stopped about there and looked really lame. So I ripped it back and then I did decrease, knit 3, decrease, knit 3 rounds, and that was the final product. And I think that's worked really well. So I will attempt to put the notes, my modifications on my Ravelry project page. But, you know, it's, you can see I tied that on. It's quite difficult to get in, to turn that through, to tie the loop there. But it's not really that difficult, it's just fiddly. But yeah, really pleased with that. So that's another Christmas gift. actually, strictly speaking, it's an early Christmas gift because Regan's birthday, looks like we might have an Amazon delivery. Regan's birthday is in a couple of weeks' time in December. So I'll be giving both the hats to Regan and Jordan on Regan's birthday because it's no good giving them at Christmas because you want to be able to wear them up to Christmas, don't you? So, right, we're going to have a little break now because I think there's a chappie in a high-vis vest walking down our drive. I will be back in just a mo. Okay, great. I managed to intercept him before he rang the doorbell, which is good. Even though the dogs are fairly sparko, I didn't want to risk unsettling them because we're doing quite well so far today, aren't we? They're both still asleep, which is good. Right, so moving on. Now, because I had finished, or nearly finished, 3 items. So I'd finished the Down Cheapy Lane socks, I'd finished the Christmas hat, and I've nearly finished the Dotty Wool Company October socks. I just got the real urge to cast on something else. And I wanted to cast on a shawl. I haven't knit a shawl in ages. I do have my lovely hummingbird shawl on the needles, but that's really, it's so spring-like and so bright and airy. I feel that that's something I might want to pick up again at Easter time. And I wanted something garter stitch or something fairly straightforward. The podcasts I've been watching have been talking about shawls, and it's just given me the urge to pick some of my lovely yarns. Still got a hair on my thing. And cast on. So I did, and I will show you. I also want to show you this project bag as well in a sec. I've got fluff everywhere. This was hair as well. Now, I was going to print out a better picture. I was going to print out a picture because I don't have one. Oh my goodness, that's a really bad picture, and it's black and white. Well, I'll put the details down below if you want to see it. You have to go over to Ravelry. But I decided, I found one of the projects in my Ravelry favourites, and it was a shawl, a fingering weight shawl. Now, I apologise for the picture, but that's it, basically. It's a 3-colour one, and it's called, not surprisingly, Trio. And it is by Suvi Simola. I can give you the... Ooh, there you go. And as I say, it's fingering weight, 3 colours, and it just blends the 3 colours through. It's a broken, now does she call it broken rib? Garter rib, she calls it. It's a garter rib. And oh, am I loving this. I had, okay, so last year, confessions, heavily influenced, might I say, by a friend. Well, we both bought a Stephen West shawl kit for one of his shawls. It wasn't a big launch, but he was doing kits through Stephen and Penelope, and it was a collaboration with La Bien-Aimée. Now, you know, I fell in love with the colourways of this. I don't buy a lot of really expensive yarn like that. Occasionally for a treat. I think if you remember, I had a sweater's quantity from a couple of years back for my Paloma sweater, which I made, and that was it. So I bought this, Gem and I bought this, these 3 skeins of yarn to do this 3-colour Stephen West shawl. And you know what, for some reason, I didn't even look at the pattern properly. I just saw how it was styled on the Instagram post or whatever, fell in love with the colours, and we said, oh, let's do it. So we bought it. And I started knitting it and absolutely adored the yarn and adored the colours. But when I looked at the pattern, I thought, I don't like this shape. I'm not going to wear a shawl this shape because, you know, again, unsurprisingly, it was a little bit wacky from Stephen West. So I ended up frogging it, and I ended up with 3 skeins of beautiful La Bien-Aimée yarn in sport weight, because this was a sport weight one. So I had them all skeined up, and here they are. So, and this was a colour palette that they put together for the shawl. So that's the first one. and you can see there are some, this is like a, what's it called, this one? Coral Crush. And you can see there are some, I don't know if you can see, there are some darker speckles in there. I don't know how well that is showing up because, again, the light in here, but it's such a beautiful colour. The second colour of the trio was this one. Okay. So that picks up, so look, so you've got that one and that one. And this one is called Glimmer. So this is orangey, pinky, corally. And then the third one, which is semi-balled up again because this is the one that I had ripped out from the shawl. And I've lost the label. I'm really annoyed, so I can't remember what colour this is. But it's a much paler one. But again, with hints of gold. I really can't see whether that's showing up. It all looks a little bit insipid, but it's lovely. So they're the three that I'm going to use for this trio shawl. So I've gone up a needle size, just because I know, you know, if you want to, you can interchange sport weight and fingering weight, especially on a shawl. I'm not stressy about that, but if anything, my tension is slightly on the small side, so I went up, I think I only went up one needle size. So I think I picked out 3.75s, and I think it's a 3.5mm needle for this pattern. Yeah, 3.5. But it's also done in the same yarn as Holst Garn, super soft. And if anybody's knitting Holst Garn, that's one of those yarns that you can, it blooms so much after blocking. So in Scandinavia, they use that for so many different projects across the range of sizes. So obviously there was quite a lot of leeway in this. I made the flea cardigan in the Holst Garn. No, I didn't. I made, the flea cardigan was in the Raumer. What did I make in Holst? I've made a couple of things in Holst anyway, and they've, so I knew what she was talking about with that. Anyway, this is where I have got to. Oh, the chair's squeaking again, I apologise. Look at that. How super pretty is that? These speckles, again, let me put my hand behind it. That's better, you can see. So you can see the garter rib effect there. And it makes it so squishy, but just with, oh, sorry. Put, that's better. There you go. Oh, it's just so pretty. It's such a love, and it's so lovely to knit. It's an 8-row pattern repeat, but it's really easy to memorise. And it is basically this garter rib all the way through the shawl. So I'm going to be knitting up all of these, then you stripe in the next colour, garter rib, stripe in the next colour, and then it's got a fringe, and I love a fringe. So I absolutely love this. It's, and the stitch definition is amazing. I don't know whether it's the pattern or the yarn or the combo of the pattern and the yarn, but it is an absolute joy to work on. Ask me that when the rows are, you know, 350 stitches long, but at the moment, and that's actually, I'll show you the back because the back is pretty as well. So you've got these lovely tram lines, and I am really loving this. So I'm so pleased. I've lost my sweater mojo. So my Wear For Art Thou sweater hasn't been touched this week. That's still sitting there. But I got the sock mojo and I've got the shawl mojo going. So I will take that as a win. Now, this project is in a bag that I received from a friend this week. Oh, I should tell you, I'm actually knitting those on Takumi bamboo circular needles because they were the first ones that came out of my drawer. And I'm quite happy knitting on, I quite like these. They're lightweight, the cable isn't particularly brilliant, but they're fine. I knit with metal and wooden needles, so depending on what mood I'm in really. So these were sent to me, I think. Were these sent to me? I got sent a load of Clover stuff. They supported the Socks on the Beach retreat that I ran and sent me a whole box of their goodies. I don't know whether I bought these, but anyway, the needles are really nice and light and they're quite pointy. As I say, the cable is a little bit all over the show, but you know, with a shawl you have a long cable anyway. I'm tangled now, so it's kind of boinging up, but once I get more fabric on there, that will weigh that down a bit. Anyway, yes, my lovely friend and my lovely friend, we haven't met in real life, but we're Insta friends, and I've driven near to where she lives. Debbie, who is Daisy Stitches on Instagram, who has just started podcasting actually, and I will put the details of her podcast down below. She's relatively recently begun to design. You'll know I did the giveaway, didn't I? The jasmine socks. I did a test knit for her, and they were the sister socks. I think they might have been the trio of sock patterns she designed, and she's recently designed some free patterns. Oh, she's so generous. Check out her Instagram feed, and that will give you links. So she's Daisy Stitches on Instagram, and I think she might be Deborah Ford on Ravelry, but I will check and I'll put the links below. Anyway, she's also started a podcast. She's done her first podcast, which was great. I watched that the other day. She's done these free patterns, the magpie hat, and she's working on the magpie shawl, which is just beautiful. Check out her podcast. It's really lovely. But she also makes bags, so she's a multi-talented lady. And I first knew of her way back when she was mostly bag making before she started designing. And when we were talking, or I said something on the podcast about project bags when I was doing the Jasmine Socks pattern giveaway, and I mentioned the Umbrella Academy, which is a show on Netflix that Hannah and I absolutely love. It is the most bonkers, bizarre show, but really love it. We've watched season 2 and can't wait for season 3. Deb managed to find, Debbie's also a fan of Umbrella Academy, and she managed to source some Umbrella Academy fabric from good old Spoonflower. Honestly, I think they do something for everyone there. And she messaged me and said, oh, I'll make us a bag each. And so she made me a bag and sent it as a present, and just brilliant. She showed hers on her podcast actually, but I'm going to show mine. So this is it. So I don't know if I can do this. I'll have to come closer. So in the Umbrella Academy, there are 7 of them. Are there 7 or are there 6? 7. Because this one, Vanya, she's number 7. I might get the numbers wrong. Now this one, my favourite character, Klaus, he is just hilarious. Then we've got Luther. We've got Alison, we've got Ben, and then here is 5. 5 doesn't have a name, he's just number 5. So, is that right? Luther, Alison, Ben. Oh, and I missed out Diego. So Luther, Alison, Diego, Ben, Klaus, 5 and 5. Yeah, 7 of them. Sorry. But anyway, she made me this bag, which is so cool. I absolutely love it. It's drawstring, which is my favourite kind of bag. Really loving drawstrings at the moment. And it's just brilliant. So firstly, thank you, Debs. I absolutely love it. And secondly, if you... so that's what my my trio shawl is living in. If you fancy watching something wacky and weird, and it's a little bit, I mean, it's a bit dark, but it's not real. I don't do dark and grim. Some of the stuff on Amazon Prime and Netflix now, can't be doing with it. So disappointing. It's just, really pushing the boundaries out. And I know it's modern and youthful humour, but there are some things I just don't need to watch. But Umbrella Academy, even though it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it basically. Hannah and I watched the first episode and looked at each other and was like, what just happened? But it is really, the character development is so good in it, and it's funny. There's a bit of blood and guts, but it's done in a very kind of comic book way. That's the best way I can describe it. I don't find it offensive, and I find a lot of TV offensive, so if that's anything to go by. Anyway, Umbrella Academy bag. Suvi Simola Trio Shawl knit, if anybody wants to go and check out that pattern. Oh my goodness, right, where are we at now? We're moving on to, oh, I have another make. Hang on. I wasn't going to show these this week, but I'm going to. Let's just do it. I talked about this last week, about wanting to start this project. It's in my Jilly Makes I Like to Party bucket bag, which is perfect for this. And I talked about the crochet fairy lights that I wanted to start making. And I have indeed started making them. At the moment though, they're not strung together, so they don't light up. That is it's a paid for pattern. This, I mentioned it. The details are in last week's podcast if you want to go and have a look, and I'll try and remember to put them down below again. So I dug out my cotton, and they take such a small quantity of yarn. I've made one, oh, excuse me, slippery little sucker. Yeah. So how many have I made? I've made 5. They take about half an hour, so I'm trying to do one a day. So it's my first one. It's so cool. I'm so chuffed with these. Done a yellow one. Oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to hold all these. Done a pink one. I've done a green. And I've done a pale blue. So I've done my first set of colours, and I think probably these are the colours of cotton I've got. Oh, you can't really see, can you? There you go. And then a yellow. So blue. Yellow there. It's so clever. It's such a simple yet clever pattern. So you start down here, you crochet up, obviously increase and then decrease, and then this is actually that's a better. This is like the metal casing over the top of the electrical wire, obviously. So I'm going to be putting them together with, I've got a whole thing of this, but the grey, so that's going to be stringing them. So I think you crochet a single chain along there. But I'm not going to rush finishing these because I'd like to have quite a lot. And actually it's this fluff. It's the stuffing, it's getting everywhere. These would be really lovely, I think, to hang in the window of my craft room. And what I might even do is twist them round some actual fairy lights, just some little bulbs. So that, see if I can hold them together again. Oh, no, I can't. There's just too many. Anyway, deck the halls with boughs of fairy lights. Anyway, and I'm using the same cotton that I bought to make the tea towels, to weave the tea towels, which I've also got to get onto this week, which is the Scapia's Cotton 8. And I buy that from the Wool Warehouse, actually. I think that's where I got it from. So yeah, crochet fairy lights. That pattern is by the Mayfield Makery, and you can buy the pattern on Etsy. And Jilly Makes is also on Etsy. So, right, that's all the fibre craft. No, it's not. I have one more, but it's not actual knitting or crocheting. It's a little bit exciting, actually. And again, I have shared this on Instagram because, you know, at the moment I'm all about all the crafts. Right, are you ready? Look, I got a little hedge pig. I don't know what noise hedge pigs make. I should say I call them hedgehogs. I call them hedge pigs. I apologise for that. This hedge pig looks, I think, a little bit like a lion, but look, and he's got all prickly brown fur. He's so cute. She's so cute. She's a mama hedge pig because after I made the first one, and she sat on this conkers, I had to then make a baby. See, she's got a little baby. He's a little baby. Her little baby's a little bit flat. Didn't go quite so well. Oh, but they're so cute. I was so pleased with them. So this was pattern instructions, I'm not sure what you call it, from Amirisu magazine, which is a Japanese magazine book that I love. This is one of my favourite publications, to be honest, of knitting magazines and making magazines. I love this. I've not really looked at Making, the magazine, and a few others that are around, but this one is very often. Oh, and I think I showed you Koel, Koel, didn't I, from Belgium, which I really like. But this one, not only does it have beautiful sweaters in it, it had this. And it's got all the instructions, and it's actually, you know, you have to follow the guidelines of how you use a pom-pom maker, and it's got the guidelines and how far round you go with what colour, and then you layer that over with another colour, and you know, so you know, a lot of effort goes into that. Because if you look, you've got the cream at the front, which again I did too big. With this one, I actually wrapped the yarn double. I used Cascade Heritage fingering weight, and I wrapped the yarn double because I didn't think it would be thick enough, but I think it probably is too thick. I can't even get her to stand up. Honestly, no idea how difficult I find this. Anyway, it's a hedgehog. Yeah, so you can see the two different shades of brown there. Then you've got the cream. Then this bit here is actually needle felted. Shut the front door. Shut the front door. And I think I mentioned about needle felting. Doesn't usually end well for me. But I didn't have anything. I must have gotten rid of, for very good reason, my needle felting needles. So I ordered a small set of, well, the best I could get, the cheapest I could get of needles, so that I could make this nose, this pointy nose. So that's needle felting the wool from the pom-pom. And then the eyes and the nose, they use plastic safety eyes in the magazine, but I used roving and just felted them in. And the same, I think this little one is better. I think that looks a better shape at the front. It's just the back is flat. And a little mouth under there. They should have little hands, feet. But I don't quite understand. You use felt and I can't get them to look right, so I'm quite happy for them not to have feet. They're quite happy sitting on their bed of conkers. They're going to have a new home soon, which I will share with you shortly. Hang on. There you go. Mama hedgehog and baby hedgehog. for no other reason than I can. They would be great actually. They would be lovely to hang on Christmas tree decorations. If I could get one in between, this was a small pom-pom maker, this was a medium one. Maybe if I could make a better job of the small one, that would be good to hang on the Christmas tree. But, you know, again, I should have a hashtag, have a go Joe, because it rhymes, not because your name's Joe. Because you wouldn't have worked that out, would you? Right, so that was hedgehogs. This is the, what magazine is it? This is issue 18, summer 2019. I don't know if you'll be able to get this anymore. You might be able to get it. Are you going to focus? No. Oh well. Issue 18 of Amirisu. Tribe stock it in Richmond. I don't know where else stock it as a rule. Or you can go direct to their website. Okay, right, so that's the hedgehogs. Just quickly, when I had to get up for delivery man, I wanted to show you the 2 gobstoppables of yarn I've got. So this is Dotty Wool Company. It's amazing. And this is Mrs. Claus. I think Helen might have this one. Helen of Giddy Yarns. There you go. Which is really lovely. And I'm torn between that one and, ironically, one of Helen's, Giddy Yarns, which is fabulous. And she posted a picture of this knit up. That's on Sparkle this week, which pretty much sealed it. I'm going to be knitting this one up next. And this is Grandma's Christmas Tree. Oh, come on. Is that better? I think you can see that anyway. And I think she's got some more coming to her next shop update if you wanted to get this. But it's got the larger stripe of teal and then thinner stripes of all the different fairy lights. And that's on Sparkle, that one. 75 superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% silver stellina. It's beautiful. I really want to cast that on. Right, I have a finale piece, but I also just wanted to share with you something else that arrived. You will remember I talked about I was waiting for some yarn from Deborah, Candy Shop Yarns again, hence this one. She had specially dyed up a sweater's quantity of her DK base for me to make the Dotty cardigan that I really wanted to make. And finally it arrived. The reason it took so long is because between us we found a much cheaper way of shipping it from the United States over to me, and I said great, let's take that way. I mean, no rush for the yarn. It wasn't it was kind of loosely tracked. We knew somewhere vaguely. I think I said to you the last couple of weeks it's been over in California somewhere. But last week it arrived, and so I do want to show you because I've been banging on about this. There'll be lots of rustling and rattling because I have left it in the packaging. Look at that. I might have to take it out so you can see it without the light. I thought Miracle of Miracles, that was the postman, but it's not, still not showing up. So, there you go. Look at that. So this is, again, Deborah's packaging and labelling is just brilliant. Liquid Candy, which is her Bloom DK base. 250 yards to 115 grams. Superwash merino, and this is her Raspberry Cordial colourway. And I'm really sorry, but at the moment you can't get it because she's unable to dye full time, and she's doing it as and when the mood takes her, which is absolutely spot on. But if you keep an eye on her Etsy shop and on Instagram, what she'll do is she'll have a phase when she wants to do some dyeing, and then she'll just pop it into her shop. So there's nothing official. It's very spontaneous really. I've just spotted, look at this huge, where is it, there, that really bold pink there, the black speckles. This is going to be amazing. So I'm really thrilled. Deborah, thank you so much. And along with that, she sent me, if you watch if you watch Deborah and Emily and the Meanwhile at the Castle podcast, you'll know that through the summer possibly, they've been making pillowcases, or what we in the UK would call pillowcases. I think, do you call them cushion covers? I can't think what they called them. Anyway, they stitch them and then add a crochet border, and then they've made, I know Deborah certainly has made loads, 20 or 30, maybe even more. And then she gives them to her friends and neighbours, which is so lovely. Deborah is all about spreading kindness, and I hold her in huge esteem. She inspires me, and Emily, they both do. But Deborah made me this massive pillowcase. Look at that. I think I might have to make I don't think we can get pillows this big over here. I have to make my own and stuff it. And look, she's crocheted. So she has hand crocheted, obviously hand crocheted. So she's attached to the edge of the pillowcase a stitching row that she has then crocheted, that decorative edge. It's just so beautiful. And to know that Deborah did that, I mean, it's stunning. Just look at that. Is that focused? Yeah. It's just so dainty. It's beautiful. That might have to come and live in here with me actually, Deborah. I said it was going to go on my bed, that I would use it more if it were in here, but I would obviously have to keep certain fur babies off it. But it's beautiful. So she added that in as a gift, which is really lovely. Oh, and I should have said, Debs, when she sent me the bag, she also sent me those minis, which will be perfect for my log cabin blanket. How cool is that? Right. That's that. So as I say, there's my, I don't know, I might wait. Should I wait for the next thing? How long? It's quite long again, isn't it? Oh, I've got so much to talk about. What am I like? That's everything apart from the 2 giveaways I've got. Not the 2 giveaways. Right, I'll do that and then we'll move on to the final thing. You'll remember that I did a test knit for Lindsay, who is StitchCreateLove, and I talked about this. This is the seasonal fruit socks. I don't think I had them on a blocker last time. The trouble is with these patterns that go down the middle, you kind of lose it on the sock blocker, don't you? Can you see it that way? So there's like a faux cable going up the middle. And this was knit with Kelly Family Yarns Plum Pudding colourway. There you go. There's a bit of glare on that, sorry. So, again, because I'd lost my sock mojo, I hadn't cast on the second sock, but the pattern has now been released. If I could do, let me swizzle this round, twist this round a bit, just for a minute, and it won't stretch it out of shape, and then you can actually see, you can see the pattern a bit better. Oh, can you see it at all? It's because it's quite a dark variegated yarn, but down the middle here there's like a mock cable, but you can't see that. Never mind. Never mind. There are plenty of pictures up now on Instagram. Actually, there you go. If you have a look at Lindsay's Instagram feed, StitchCreateLove, she's done hers in a light colour, and you can really see the pattern very well on that. Anyway, the pattern has been released. It's called Seasonal Fruits Socks, and she has got a 15% off coupon code for anyone who wants to buy the pattern off Ravelry. I do believe it's on Ravelry. And the code is fruity15, so fruity15. And again, I'll put the code down below. But that's only until Friday the 20th. So that's this Friday, isn't it? Friday the 20th of November. So that will be, obviously I record on a Wednesday. This will go up tomorrow morning. So you'll have a couple of days to use that code if you want to buy that pattern and support Lindsay. Check out her other sock pattern as well. They're very pretty, and she's got quite a few things on the go, I think, now. So she's one to watch. Secondly, the giveaway we have. Now, there's been a new pair of socks doing the rounds on Ravelry, a new design, which many of you will know, by a lovely, lovely lady called Alice Jeffries, who is under the Instagram handle of Homebody Diaries. Now, Alice I first met a couple of years ago through Socks on the Beach. She came to one of our meetups, and we've kind of loosely stayed in touch since, although she had little baby Neve, and who is now, was she nearly 2? I'm not sure. Anyway, she's lovely, basically, Alice. We're all lovely, aren't we? That almost goes without saying, really. Anyway, Alice has designed her first sock pattern, or designed and released her first sock pattern, and she reached out to tell me about it, which was brilliant. She has very kindly given me a copy of the pattern, but she has also given me 2 copies to give away to my viewers, or to the viewers of this podcast. So the sock pattern is called Come Little Leaves, and just for you I've printed out a colour. So that's the name, and then that's the sock. It's got this wonderful textured leg. And what's great about this is that you can get the leg done, and then the foot is fairly straightforward. You know, I say mindless. I can't say that because the pattern is all about being mindful, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But really lovely textured socks. So pretty. But not, from what I see, they're a combination of knit and purl stitches, so it's not really difficult to knit. And she's got this lovely poem here. Come little leaves, said the wind one day, come o'er the meadows with me and play. Put on your dress of red and gold. Summer is gone and the days grow cold. I love that. So on the pattern you get that beautiful picture and that poem. And Alice, I believe, is a Buddhist and is very committed to mindfulness and meditation. So she has actually made these socks with a view to encouraging us all to be mindful in our making. And she's got, the pattern has got quite a few pages, or there's quite a few pages at the beginning that discuss about being mindful and focusing and letting go of worries and all that sort of biz. And then as you knit the socks, you kind of, you know, I haven't read all of this, so I can't tell you exactly what it is. And also, it's a paid for pattern. So, but she talks you through various techniques and things you can do to maybe switch off from the outside world. So not only do you get a lovely sock pattern, you get hints and tips about being calm. So yeah, so I will be knitting these probably after Christmas, I'm thinking, because I don't want to do them in self-striping, and at the moment I'm all about self-striping. As I say, Alice has donated 2 free patterns as a giveaway. So if you would like to win a copy of that pattern and all the mindfulness tips and tricks, well, not tricks, ideas in there, then I'm going to do the giveaway as I've done before on YouTube, on here. And if you could just leave a comment below and start it with Socks Rock, as we do, which lets me know that you want to be entered for the giveaway. And then next week, I'll leave it open for a week. So next week when I record, so it will be next Wednesday morning. No, perhaps, yeah, I think it might be, no, I'll leave it open for 2 weeks. There you go, because I record on a Wednesday, but this won't go up till Thursday, so that wouldn't give you very long, really, So I will leave this open to the first podcast of December. Do not ask me what the date of that is. If next Thursday is the 26th, it'll be, I reckon, the day I record will be Wednesday the 3rd of December. So I will close the thread. Sorry, there will be no thread. I will stop counting comments when I record on Wednesday the 3rd of November. So you've got a couple of weeks. So add the comment, socks rock, and should we have a comment? Socks rock, and maybe just come up with an idea what you would like to be mindful about over the month of December. How about that? Doesn't have to be a long essay. You might want to be mindful about the crisp cold weather if you've got it, or you might want to remember about counting your blessings, or you might want to remember or be mindful about your family, or anything like that. Things that, you know, it's coming up to the time of giving and to the season of joy and goodwill. So just put something short below about what you like about December and what it kind of puts you in mind of. Yeah, loosely. If you don't want to put any of that, just put socks rock. That's fine. It's just nice, isn't it? And nice to think about things like that. Right, I am going to have a short break because I have no idea how long I've been talking. Oh my goodness. Perhaps I shouldn't add any more because I've also recorded a segment about the Christmas Carol read along that we are starting next week. So yeah, I'll have a think. I will be right back. Okay, on to a book segment now, and the Dickens Christmas Carol along that I wanted to talk to you about as we are kicking it off next week. So although we're going to start it on Thursday, I'm also very aware that that's obviously American Thanksgiving. So we're obviously starting it Thursday, but you know, you don't have to pick up and read in the middle of your Thanksgiving dinner. For those of you who are in the States, no, sorry, no, just talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to read my version of A Christmas Carol. No, you don't have to do any of that. Obviously, I'm going to open a thread in the Ravelry group, and I think I might post a few bits on Instagram for those of you who aren't on Ravelry as well, just to encourage people to read along. A lot of people have said they will. This is the second year that I've done this. Last year it was quite popular and very enjoyable. I'm sorry, there's footprints. Henry's stropping about the room because Honey is in the armchair by the window, which means he can't get out. They fight over that chair, honestly, it's crazy. And Honey, if Henry's on the chair, Honey will just sit there and stare at it, psych him out completely. Anyway, I digress, just for a change. What I was going to do today was just speak a little bit and show you my copies of A Christmas Carol. I have the last couple of years endeavoured to collect a few copies. I only have 4. I did have 5. I gave one to a friend last year who didn't have a copy and wanted to read along with us. But I've also mentioned last week, I think, that it's available on Audible for those of you who prefer to listen along. It is a free download on Kindle, on Amazon Kindle. So if you want to find that, make sure there will be various versions, but if you go for like the oldest classic transposition, I suppose, from hard copy to digital, they will be free. And I'm always using that for classics and I never have any problems with them. So you can download it for free. Or, of course, if you're like me and prefer or also enjoy a hard copy of a book, you can go and pick up a copy from your local bookshop. I say that, of course, you can't if you're in the UK. You can't go to your local bookshop because they're closed. You could wait until December the 3rd. Although who knows what's going to happen then. Obviously you can buy online. You could get one from, it would be nice to try and find your local bookshop's website. And I know some places are doing click and collect, aren't they? So you might be able to order it online and then just go out and collect the book. I don't know, to be honest. I am talking completely off the top of my head. Basically encouraging people to use smaller businesses rather than the giants like Amazon. That said, you know, Amazon fills a niche, doesn't it? It fills that market. Anyhow, I bought mine. The first one I have was a Christmas present a couple of years ago. This was before I started my annual reading in earnest. And this is the one I have, which is so pretty. I mean, whether or not you are a classics fan, it can be argued that Dickens really created the kind of Christmas image, certainly in England, that we all sort of look to now, with the ice skating and the snow and the fireplaces and the holly and the Christmas songs. Very much, what do I want to say? It wasn't, obviously it wasn't invented, depicted, that's the word, depicted by Dickens. And I think basically, you know, that front picture says it all. And then on the back you have mistletoe and lights and the fruits and then, yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. This is published by, because obviously I checked this out beforehand. Oh, Henry, stop walking around. Settle down. She's on the chair. Get over it. This is Dickens at Christmas, a selection of seasonal writings. So this isn't just A Christmas Carol. This was published by Vintage in 2012. And it has a whole selection of Dickens writing in it. There you go. Can I see? So you've got a Christmas chapter from the Pickwick Papers. You've got A Christmas Carol, obviously. You've got various different things that he wrote. There's another. So if you fancy reading slightly wider and not just A Christmas Carol, then that is a lovely book. I mean, it's just lovely to have. I have read, let's be honest about this, from here I have read The Story of the Goblins Who Stole a Sexton, obviously A Christmas Carol, and I have been reading A Christmas Tree from Household Words. So I've got plenty to work through on that one. Then I have got, oh goodness, I've got a feeling, yeah, I had a bit of a, I'm sure I've got another copy of this somewhere, because I know, those of you might remember, I was lucky enough to visit New York City, Manhattan particularly, last December with Hannah. And if you missed it, there are some vlogs up about our adventures. And one of the things Hannah wanted to do, being the book lover she is, was to hit up all the Barnes and Noble stores in Manhattan. Because, you know, we don't have bookshops in England. Anyway, we made it our job, and I think we visited 4 out of the 5 Barnes and Nobles in Manhattan. So there you go. And I bought 3 copies of A Christmas Carol. Because also, you know, what do? You go to America and you buy books to bring home. The first one was a very simple, and those of you who are concerned about reading a classic, this is how thin the actual book itself, the story is. It's a very short story. So this is the first one, and this is a Barnes and Noble edition by Fall River Press. Oh, I say it's Barnes and Noble. I'm pretty sure. No, this isn't. My bad. It's by Fall River Press. Get my teeth in. It's so pretty, and I love how slim that is, and it's got the gold edging. Oh, the light's catching that. Oh, look, right down the middle of my face. Still haven't got to grips with this camera. I'm very discombobulated. And then on the back you've got, so this is almost, I want to say, a pocket version. It's really lovely though. It's really pretty, and you know, when you get to a certain age, the print isn't even tiny. Some of the Penguin Classics we have in the UK, not even just Penguin Classics, but they're the ones I tend to go for, the print is so small. It's ridiculous, and I don't need specs to read, but you know, the print, my goodness, is small in some of those. So yeah, that was the first one I picked up in Manhattan. Then I picked up this one, which is beautifully, I say illustrated, yeah. This is very different. And look at the back. Such a lovely book, this. And the paper, the edges, I don't know if you can see, they've been cut. They're really rough. It's like that really sort of vintagey paper. And then this is illustrated by Mary Kate McDevitt, who lives in Brooklyn. And it's published by Puffin Classics, this one. I'm just trying to find one of her, well, there's the door knocker. That's the door knocker that looks like Marley. There's some bigger illustrations in here, and of course I can't find any. There's not that many illustrations, it has to be said. Oh, there's the Cratchits sitting around the fire. So very rustic. It's got such a lovely feel to it. This really lovely, very different from that. See, you need more than one copy. And then finally, the pièce de résistance that I also picked up, and this is published by Barnes and Noble, which is why, because it's got a very similar cover to the little one. And this is like the first one I showed you. There. A Christmas Carol and Other Christmas Stories. And again, it's got, look at this gold edge. So pretty. And then look at the inside. How gorgeous is that? So that's obviously Bob Cratchit carrying Tiny Tim. I'm wondering if this is Ebenezer Scrooge there. He looks quite angry. And this has a whole load more. And this isn't just Dickens. I just realised that. Oh my goodness. It's funny how you can have these, can't you? And then I didn't realise Dickens wrote with Wilkie Collins. Now again, if you watched any of my book reviews last year, might even have been the year before. Oh my goodness. No, it was last year. You know me and dates and years, never listen to me. One of my favouriteest books of all time, most favourite books, not favouriteest, is The Woman in White, Wilkie Collins. Absolutely brilliant. And in here there's three stories that Dickens obviously wrote with Wilkie Collins, which I didn't know about. So I think I might have to pick those up. And then a selection of other Christmas stories here. It's got The Goblins Who Stole a Sexton as well. But it's just, again, it's just a beautiful book. Bit heavy. Not when you'd read in the bath. Do you read in the bath? Never take my phone into the bath, can I say, like my daughter. But I grew up, you know, having long, luxurious baths when I was a teenager, taking a book in and reading it. Hannah does that too. I don't read long books now because I don't get to take, you know, that much time. But anyway, you don't need to know that. That comes under the thing of too much information, doesn't it? Oh, my chair's squeaking. That is the chair. I think I mentioned that last week. Right, so they are currently my 4 books. If anybody else has any other copies that they want to tell me about that I could look out, they don't have to be new. I think I will probably keep an eye out in secondhand bookshops when, you know, the real world opens again, to pick up any more collections of those. But that's lovely. Hannah often buys me a secondhand sort of classic or two for Christmas, which is really lovely. I've got quite a few David Copperfield, and for obvious reasons, and I've got some Jane Austens. So we love second-hand books in this house, absolutely love it. In fact, at Christmas quite often, and I haven't done it for a couple of years, but she's requested it again this year. Hannah has asked that I do her a book box. So basically, instead of one big present, I will get a box of some sort, and I scour all the charity shops and the second-hand book-shops, and I pick up a whole range of books that I think she will enjoy, a mixture of classics and young adult and adult fiction. And I put, you can get, they're like £1, £2 each, so I could get 20 into a box, and then I wrap up the box, and she then has that to open, and she always used to absolutely love that. It's a bit harder now because she has read so much, and it's tricky now. She's very genre specific these days. She does like her high fantasy, but so I'm going to aim to do that again if I can get out into the real world, because I like to browse the books rather than order them online. Anyway, the other thing I just wanted to mention now, rats, I do apologise. Lovely friends on Instagram. Oh, there's two things. Now, first of all, Karen Wasson, who is, I think she's Plain Jane Knits on Ravelry. She's in the Ravelry group, and I can't remember her Instagram. It's awful. I don't look at people's Instagram names, especially since they've changed it and they just put the person's real name at the top. Anyway, if you search for Karen Wasson, you'll know. I think I'm pronouncing your name properly, Karen. I do hope so. She let me know, and she put a link at the bottom of last week's YouTube video about an audio podcast, a recording of someone discussing A Christmas Carol. And so go back and check out that link if you want to have that for either before we read. I'll probably listen to it after we've read it, or maybe in the middle of it, I'm not sure. But she recommends that. Also, another friend who, again, I'm so sorry, I'm so rubbish with remembering people's names. I do remember people, it's just on social media. I don't know, I have a mental blank. And I probably should have looked it up. But anyway, oh dear, I get so worried about offending people. Someone sent me this book link and said it was really worth reading. And I looked it up and I thought, I have to get this. So it's this one. 52 Little Lessons from A Christmas Carol. And for those of you, you don't have to be Christian to actually appreciate this, I don't think. But basically, I'll read what it says on the back. 52 Little Lessons from A Christmas Carol is a street-level tour through this much-loved tale of bitterness turned benevolence. Oh, don't you just love that? Bob Welsh pauses along the way to examine the wisdom and people Scrooge spent much of his life disregarding in favour of his own selfish pursuits. Welsh throws open the shutters on what sometimes is mistaken for a simple, heartwarming Christmas story, revealing a significance that extends far beyond the holiday season. He reminds us that if there is mercy for Ebenezer Scrooge, there must be deliverance in equal measure for us all. So it's about, I guess, how he turns his life around. It refers to scripture. I haven't read this, I will say that now, but I am planning to read through it. He weaves it with threads of scripture, history and insights for all ages. So I think that will be really interesting to read, because obviously, the whole redemptive side of A Christmas Carol appeals to us all, whether we be Christians or spiritual or any kind of religious spiritual faith, but also the human condition. The idea of redemption is I think what brings the joy of the story to us. I'm not going to go too into it because obviously we haven't started reading it yet, but I'm going to be reading bits of that, and I will perhaps introduce bits of that in our talk along of each podcast episode. So thank you. I will have already checked who this was, and I'm going to put a thing up there because I'm really tickled about this. Thank you for that. So we will be starting next week. This was only meant to be a short, quick. I've filmed this separately to the rest of the podcast because I've actually got some bread in our bread maker, and it was going to be up in about 30 minutes, and I thought I can't sit here and start podcasting because you know me, I go on a bit. And so I thought I'll do the book segment, the Christmas Carol read along separately. What else have I got to say about it? I think that's it. We will be kicking off next week, as I've said. I will be chatting about it each week through the next few podcasts leading up to Christmas. And I will open a thread for it on the Ravelry Group. And again, you can tag me in your Instagram stories or Instagram posts if you are on Instagram, or you can just join the chatter down below. That would be great. As I did last week, as I did last year, I have planned out roughly, you won't be able to see that, the targets, the segments. I've segmented it into 4 or 5 weeks, just so, and obviously you don't have to stick to this, it's just to say that's the bits that I'm going to be chatting about, looking back on each week. So if you want to keep up with us and the chat, then that will be what we'll do. And again, I'll share that next week with you. In the meantime, I'm going to go and get the bread out of the bread maker because it's probably very nearly done. I'm going to get myself organised and make a cup of tea, and yeah, I will send you back now to the future me who will have been recording the rest of the podcast. Right, so you would have seen me chattering away about A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol, and the Christmas Carol read-along we're going to be starting next week. I have made the executive decision as the CEO of All Things Sheep and Cheerful not to share the final project that I was going to share with you. I'm going to save that for next week. Because I will probably talk about it for quite some time. It's quite big. It's not a blanket. I also haven't shown you my quilt, have I? Very quickly I'll show you that. No, I won't. I have to save that for next week as well. So I've got my paper piece quilt that I'm making as a Christmas cushion. And I've got the Might Just Be a Tilda doll that I've made this week that I will share with you next week. I expect I will put it on Instagram before then, just in case you're so excited and you can't wait. So I will save those for next week. In the meantime, if anybody's seen my postman, please send him my way because, you know, I kid you not, I have in excess of 10 items that I know have been dispatched that I haven't received yet. And I'm sure it just is logistics. You know, we live in frantic times of staffing issues and, you know, COVID and things taking longer than normal. But it would be so nice to get some of those things. Really would. There's someone walking down my drive. Yes. Oh my goodness. I can't believe this. Right. I will be right back. Well, that wasn't our postman, but it was a Royal Mail delivery. Out of all the things I'm waiting for, I got this. Don't mean to be ungrateful, Royal Mail, but really, are you taking the mickey? I think I know what this is, and this is quite important because it's the finishing touches to a gift that I've made. That said, I'm still waiting for something else to arrive to go to the same person, so hey ho, let's be cheerful. They have a lot on their plate at the moment. I'm just glad I started doing all this as early as I did so that we're not, you know, the 17th of December and I'm waiting for 10 things to arrive. So anyway, I'm going to sign off now. Henry has found his way back into the room even though I shut the door. Oh, he's going to lay down on his bed. Look, the chair's free now because Honey's moved, but he's actually, he's gone down for a snooze. Right, I hope you have all had a great week so far. I hope you're all keeping well, and my love and prayers go out to you all, especially for those of you who have either had or have loved ones who have been unfortunate enough to be affected by the COVID pandemic. Gary, just a quick note, Gary has his treatment tomorrow. He's going in for his first infusion treatment, which we are really hoping and praying will help the symptoms of his illness, which would be great. And the rest of the family are fine. So far we are keeping a pretty low profile. So, and fortunately for us, the number of cases in our part of the world is pretty low. So I'm also counting my blessings for that. In the meantime, Advent is nearly upon us. So I hope you're all preparing. I hope those of you in the United States who are preparing for Thanksgiving next week are getting all ready, getting your turkeys and all your lovely food sorted. No doubt my friends Deborah and Emily will be inundating our little group chat with pictures of pies and wonderful things they make. They really do cook up a feast. And I'm wishing you well, and I will see you next week. Ta-da!